We hear those sound effects. That means pork time. A new Fox News Opinion Dynamics poll shows 47% of voters think the Obama administration has made the economy worse. And the latest unemployment figure suggests that the stimulus plan hasn't boosted the economy. But get this, a professor has been awarded $700,000 in stimulus cash to create joke-telling software for computers. Is this the best use of your tax dollars? Let's ask one person. Let's ask Phil Kerpen. He's the Vice President for Policy at Americans for Prosperity. Phil, is this a great use of stimulus dollars, buying joke-telling software? Explain this.
No, it's obviously ridiculous. I mean, the only good thing about this is that I think it shows what a joke the stimulus itself is, and the idea that we can borrow and spend our way to prosperity. Seems to me we could have saved the $700,000, just fed the computer a whole list of stimulus projects, and that would be funny enough for most people.
Well, Christina Romer, one of the outgoing economic advisors, says a lot of the stuff that was in the stimulus project wasn't very sexy. She says you couldn't really put a label on a lot of it, and it went under the radar. And particularly this one joke-telling bit of software for Northwestern University, because the professor who got this money says, look, this isn't a laughing matter. What this actually does is it's a computer program that's going to teach us how the human brain works. We're going to study and mimic how the human brain works. Do you buy that?
No, I mean, look, I think that to the extent research like that has merit, it ought to be funded through a competitive, merit-driven process. And I think that what we've got right now with this stimulus bill is really the opposite of that. Government is desperately trying to shovel $800 billion out the door as quickly as possible. And to try to do that, they're funding all sorts of wasteful and ridiculous things that don't make any sense, that don't have any economic return, that won't increase productivity. And that's the real problem with large-scale government spending is government is not very good at picking investments that make a lot of sense outside of the basic stuff that government needs to do.
So let's look at your screen right now. If you're paying attention at home, glance over at your screen if you're cooking breakfast this morning. Take a look at some of these projects. $554,000 for new windows at a Mount St. Helens Visitor Center. $6.9 million to restore Dry Tortugas National Park. So when Americans are sitting at home this morning, and some of them out of work, many of them out of work, saying, you know, I don't have a job. Why are we paying for Dry Tortugas National Park?
Well, the problem is government spending is so high already that when they decide they're going to try to get the economy moving through even more spending, which, by the way, is proven not to work, but when they try to do that, they're really grasping at straws, trying to come up with ways to push money out the door, and they come up with all of these ridiculous things. Now there's talk of yet another stimulus. I think that it's disastrous if they follow this same approach of just more and more government spending, which we can't afford. What we really need to do if we want to get the economy moving again is to create some tax and regulatory certainty, and it should start with making all of the tax cuts permanent.
Yeah, well, we'll find out this week what President Obama's plans are for those middle class business stimulus as well. Phil Kerpen, we appreciate you joining us this morning. Thanks.
Thanks for having me.